What's up guys, Brandon here. Now I know a lot of us are pretty crunched for time, so today I'm going to be taking us through a chest and back workout that's going to require a minimal amount of equipment. You could probably do it at home if you have a pull-up bar and some dumbbells, and it's only going to take about like 30-35 minutes to get through. We're going to get plenty of volume for our chest and our back in this workout. We're going to start off with a quick warm-up for the shoulders to make sure that everything's moving well, thoracic spine as well. Then we're going to jump into some dumbbell work, use the pull-up bar a little bit, some horizontal pushing and pulling, and then a little bit of vertical pulling as well for the back. So minimal equipment, and then we're going to hit chest and back today for a little bit of hypertrophy and strength work as well. So we're going to start off on the floor. We're going to open up that thoracic spine, the upper back. Right here, we're going to take a half kneeling position, tuck the hips underneath, and then we're going to come back into an archer stretch here, drawing back like we're pulling back a bow. We're going to perform 10 of these right here. So make sure we're drawing back, pulling the elbow back the entire time, drawing all the way back. Here, pull, reach forward, like that each time. And notice that I'm turning my shoulders all the way around as I go through. Here, like that. Pull back, rotate the shoulders, and then close like a book. And of course, you want to even it out. Make sure you get the other side. So that good half kneeling position here. Hips tilted forward, arms are out, driving the elbow back, reaching, close the book here. And that's for a thoracic spine or the upper back. So reaching back, here, rotate, close the book, here, back. Big rotation. Notice I'm turning the shoulders. So a lot of times people just come here and then close. You want to rotate the shoulders, so I'm reaching forward with the opposite hand here, coming back, closing the book right there like that. Now, want about 10 to 15 of those per side. Kind of lost count there, so shoot for 10 to 15. Next, we're going to use a band. We're going to get a complete rotation of the shoulder. So thumbs loop into the bands here. We're going to get some pass-throughs. Notice my elbows stay locked out here. Rib cage stays down, and I'm bringing this up for 10 to 15 as well over the top. So if you need a little bit more of a challenge, you can hold the band a little bit closer and actually create some tension in it. So same thing, keeping the rib cage down, up, and over with the band here. And again, we're going to do about 10 to 15 of these. So that tension against the band, that tactile feedback, is going to give you a little better shoulder activation as well. So you may want to make sure you're pulling against the band actively. Notice my elbows aren't bending, they're staying locked out the entire time. So 10 to 15 there. Last one, in this position of the band, we're going to go around the world. So keeping the arms extended, the elbows locked out. We're going to bring this up and over the head here. Big, across, up and over, back and forth. So notice that my rib cage stays down. I'm not twisting my torso. I'm focusing on only moving through the shoulder. And again, if I keep some tension on that band the entire time, I'm going to get some tactile feedback from the band, a little better muscle activation here. All right. So next exercise, now that we've got the shoulders warmed up a little bit, moved around, we're going to start to activate some of the muscles we're going to be using for pressing. So first exercise, we're going to do a band pull apart, supinated. Supinated means hand palm facing up versus pronated down. We're going to go supinated, locking the shoulders apart, 10 to 15 band pull aparts right here like this. So pulling apart there, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Imagine there's an itch between your shoulders, and you're just pulling apart and squeezing right there like that. So again, 10 to 15 reps here with the band pull apart like that. Now, we want to start to warm up our actual pressing motion. So we're going to start on an elevated surface and concentrate on building tension. So I have a bench here that I'm going to use for a bench press, so we're going to start there. Now, with any pressing motion, you want about a 45-degree angle with the elbow. So if this is a T, we want to make an A with our elbows as we come down. So about 45 degrees. Leading with the chest, keeping the torso braced, bringing ourselves through. So here, down, driving up, down, driving up. Notice that my hips and shoulders are in line. I'm moving down a little bit slower than I'm driving up, and I'm locking out fully at the elbow at the top. So we're grooving that movement. Not only are we warming up the musculature, but we're making sure neurologically that we're replicating the pattern we're going to be using in the workout like that. Now, for the sake of time, I'm only going to go through that once, but I'd say maybe 2-3 times through that activation circuit. So once you get warmed up here with the pass-throughs and the archer stretch, the thoracic rotation, you want to make sure that you're getting into 2 to 3 sets of the pull-aparts and the push-ups to warm up. All right. Now, with workouts, especially if we're focused on building muscle, we want to make sure that we're starting with our biggest primary mover compound exercises first. So for chest, one of those big ones is going to be a bench press. And then for our back, we can either do a horizontal pull here, like a row, or a vertical pull, like a pull-up. So I'm actually gonna pair a vertical pull with a horizontal push here. So bench press is gonna be my horizontal push, and then pull-ups are gonna be my vertical pull. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of a wrinkle in here. I'm gonna perform bench press, seesaw style, so one arm at a time alternating for a little bit of a core challenge and shoulder stability challenge. So for this workout, I'm gonna do 4 sets of 10 per arm, right here. So counting here like that would be 1 rep. We're gonna perform 10. And then for my pull-ups, I'm gonna add a little bit of a pause for positional strength. So I'm gonna pause at the top of each pull-up for just a second. I'm gonna perform between maybe 6 and 8 reps on each of those, really focusing on form, and I'll walk you through that. So might usually start with, we're gonna do 4 working sets, a little bit lighter on the first set, and then try to build throughout. So I'm probably gonna start with 50-pound dumbbells and then build up as we go for these seesaw right here. So I'm gonna grab those, we're gonna hit the bench, and then I'll go over the particulars as we go through the sets here. So when you're setting up for the bench press, make sure that your heels are gonna stay on the ground the whole time. You're setting your shoulder position before the rep, so rolling the shoulder blades down and back and then pinching them together. And then it's just a matter of easing back, getting the dumbbells into position as you come back. And then we're just gonna get into our seesaw press. So alternating sides, exhaling through the more difficult portion of the movement here as we come up. Very nice. And then setting the dumbbells down. So that's our first set, a little bit on the lighter side. We're gonna use something called rate of perceived exertion, or RPE throughout the workout. 10 is the absolute hardest, 1 is the easiest. So when we get into our working sets, we wanna be around an 8 out of 10. So that was probably for me like a 6. So a little bit on the easier side, so next set I'm gonna go up. Now, rest, right? We are moving as quick as we can kind of here safely. We also want to give ourselves adequate time so we can push inside the movement, right? So the idea here is not just to move as fast as possible, it's also to make sure that we're getting adequate rest so we can apply intensity within the exercise. So one way is to make sure, change out your weights during your rest period, take a little lap around the room, focus on your breathing, what Paul Chek would say working in instead of working out, recover fully, and then go into the next set. So for you following along, about 30 to 60 seconds between exercises within the superset, and then maybe 60 to 90 seconds between supersets. So I'm gonna put these dumbbells away and I'm gonna jump into my set of pull-ups. Right here. So for the pull-ups, we're focusing on driving the shoulder blades down, keeping the shoulder girdle down as we crush the bar, pull into it right here. So making up to a pull-up bar. Here, hollow body position, holding, slight brace at the top. Extending the arms at the bottom. Good. And again, we're trying to create that sort of 8 out of 10 intensity. Probably could have gotten a couple more reps there, but I don't want to see my form degrade, and I want to make sure that I'm still well rested to complete the volume, which is the total number of sets and reps for the workout. So on pull-ups, one of the major issues that I see with clients and working with people for so long is they don't lock out all the way at the bottom. And with all exercises, we want to make sure that we're expressing a full range of motion throughout. So on the bench press, coming all the way down each rep, and on the pull-up, coming all the way down to the bottom and all the way up to the top, right there. So that's set 1. We got 3 more to go. Here we go. Now again, for the sake of time, a lot of us are busy. I would probably, under ideal conditions, take about 2 minutes rest between that superset to make sure that I was sufficiently recovered. So if you have time, Within the superset, take your time, but if you're kind of crunched for time like I am, you want to keep moving throughout so you get the total volume in. So I'm going to go a little bit lighter, still focusing number one, the integrity of the form and getting the volume of work in, and then the intensity or the weight can kind of fall to the wayside when you're time crunched. But if you have the time, go heavy, push yourself a little bit more. All right, set 2 here, grab the 60s. We're going to go back to that seesaw press, 10 per arm. Good. So you'll notice that I'm not dropping the dumbbells on the ground. One of my biggest pet peeves, even though this is my gym and sometimes for safety reasons we have to dump the weights, is when people have weights that aren't really that heavy, they're just throwing them on the ground. So I had a coach in college that used to say, if you're strong enough to lift the weights, you're strong enough to put them away quietly. So unless you absolutely have to bail, don't be that person that's just throwing the weight on the ground, drawing attention to themselves. Just, if you're strong enough to lift it for the exercise, you should be strong enough to make sure that you can put it away quietly as well. So on that note, I'm gonna go throw these back in the rack, and we're gonna get our second set of pull-ups in. Now in terms of grip on the pull-ups, my suggestion is thumbs touch the shoulders, and then you're gonna reach straight up. We don't wanna be too narrow inside the shoulders. We don't wanna be too wide to reduce range of motion. So thumbs touch the shoulders here, reach all the way up, hands on the bar from there, and that should be a pretty good width for most people. Now you'll notice there, as I was going through, my form started to grade a little bit at the end. So this sort of speed that we're moving at, the fatigue is starting to catch up a little bit. So I'm gonna take a little bit longer break and catch my breath in between this set, so that when we go in, we can go up in the weights and maintain the intensity that we have so far. Now one thing you'll notice too, I'm setting the dumbbells on the bench here, and there's a good reason for that. Anyone that's been lifting weights for a significant portion of their life knows that there's nothing worse than a low back injury. So just constantly being in an awkward position lifting the dumbbells off the ground is putting you at risk. So I wanna make sure that we're minimizing that. Little trick, when you unrack the dumbbells, do it one at a time usually, put them on the bench so that we have a better position to lift them from to initiate the exercise. So this is gonna be our third set. So I'm gonna go up to 70s. We're gonna go back to that alternating seesaw press for 10 each arm. So again, position is everything. That's gonna produce strength. So feet are rooted to the floor, shoulder blades pinned together, and then we're gonna go seesaw as we lean back here. Good. And then of course, put the weights away quietly. Now, one thing you'll probably notice is that I'm going through the workout, I'm breathing pretty heavy. So one of the benefits to moving quickly, if your focus is to build your aerobic capacity, or if you're trying to burn a few extra calories, this fast pace is gonna achieve both those aims. So on that note, I'm gonna give myself a few seconds just to catch my breath, because I wanna make sure that I'm fully rested for that next set right here of pull-ups. All right, so I'm gonna go for 8 again. We'll see how the fatigue is, but I'm feeling it a little bit, so we'll see. 8 reps is the goal. Let's see if I got that right here. Locking the shoulder blades down, pulling tension into the bar, holding at the top, and then down. Good. All right, we're getting a little edgy there. So, I don't know, do you think I'm gonna get 8 on the last set? We'll have to see. We're getting close. So we have one more set. This is gonna be our 4th and final. So I'm gonna grab those dumbbells and get us set up. Good, so you didn't see it, but I set them up on the 2nd level and then lifted both dumbbells to make sure to protect my back like I indicated before. So one trick that I do when I'm moving quickly is rather than using the same weight for each set, because that requires a longer warm-up phase and I don't have time, what I'll do is build across each set. So these are the heaviest dumbbells that I have available to me, the 75s. So on the last set, even though we've been about an 8 out of 10 rate of perceived exertion, right? Maybe leaving like 3 reps in the tank. I'm really gonna take it towards sort of the brink of mechanical failure. So mechanical failure being like when my technique starts to break down. No forced reps, nothing unsafe, but kind of take it to the edge here. So up the intensity on this last set, all right? So let's bear with me. Let's really push it on this last set. All right, so after all that, ended up just getting the same amount of reps, but I felt like the quality was pretty good. And always, we never sacrifice the quality of the reps to make sure we get a few extra. It's never worth that battle, the injury risk. All right, I'm gonna throw these away, catch my breath, we'll hit our last set of pull-ups. They're coming for us. We're working out too hard, so they showed up. They thought someone was in trouble from all the weights. So we're gonna hit this last set of pull-ups right here. Again, 6 to 8 reps is the goal. So I'm gonna wait another about 30 seconds and then give myself fully rested intensity for this last set. All right, so as you can see, the sort of intensity got to me at the end there, and I'm losing a little bit of that technique on the last few reps. Nothing unsafe, but the quality started to go down, so I called it right there. So let's put those heavy weights away. Let's grab a drink. We're gonna get into our next superset. So as you catch your breath, as I try to catch my breath, we're now gonna superset a horizontal pull, so what I call a posted row, and then we're gonna do a fly for chest, a dumbbell fly. So we're gonna grab a moderately heavy dumbbell. I'm gonna start with that 50 again, just for technique purposes. We're gonna do a pyramid here, so we're gonna start with 15 reps of each, on each side of the row, and then we'll go sets of 12 on the flies with lighter dumbbells. So for these rows, my rowing arm, or rowing side arm, that leg is going to be back slightly staggered. My front leg hand is going to be posted, tall through the shoulder. Notice my back is flat, so I'm not rounded or tilted here. I'm pressing my chest away from the bench. And then I'm going to focus on working this muscle right here, the lat. So I'm going to sweep that elbow back to the ribs right here like that. So I'm not pulling up high into the shoulder, I'm sweeping the arm back and breathing throughout. So I'm going to go for 15 here. With the 50. So notice that elbow aims back for the hip, right here. Pulling up, big stretch, and reach. So you'll notice that my grip is also a little bit loose. If I squeeze too hard, I'm gonna involve too much forearm and bicep, I'm not gonna work that big lat muscle right there. So use a kind of hook grip, just kind of make a hook with your hand, and then you're focusing on sweeping that elbow back, engaging the lat. So now I'm gonna get the 15 on the other side. Right here, hand posted, tall through the shoulder, slight bend in the knees, back is flat, and then I'm sweeping that arm back for 15. Lat is one of those larger muscles, just like the quads, you're gonna get a really good burning and pump sensation out of. So just kind of cue yourself, feel for that engagement of the muscle. And again, I can't stress enough, thinking about ripping the elbow back to the side, engaging this muscle that's all the way down here, up into the shoulder, like that. So we're gonna put the 50 away. Let's grab a lighter set of dumbbells for the flies. Now, a mistake I see a lot of people make with the flies is going too heavy and not emphasizing the range of motion. So I'm actually going to start pretty light with these 15-pound dumbbells and focus on getting my arm all the way out. As I come up, I'm going to add another wrinkle. I'm going to externally rotate my shoulder. So I'm going to turn my pinkies together to bring the heads of the dumbbell together at the top to get a little bit more contraction out of the chest. So big stretch, think about closing like you're bear hugging somebody, squeezing, and bringing the heads of the dumbbell together. We're gonna go 12 here. So big open here, big open, squeeze, finish with the chest, meaning flex the chest as you come up at the top. And breathing the whole time. Good. Now that was probably a little bit too light, but you get the point. Full range of motion, bringing the heads of the dumbbell together at the end. All right, so again, we're gonna superset with these. So I'm gonna go back, we're gonna drop the reps by 3 on the rows. So we're gonna do set of 12 there on the rows, but we're gonna go up in weight. Now, heavy rows are one of those things just like bicep curls, because of the compression on the way that you breathe, they're actually gonna get your heart rate up really high. So I always joke that high rep rows are a little bit of conditioning. Even if you're like a bodybuilder or trying to build muscle on, they'll get your heart rate up pretty high. Like I'm running around like 125, 130 right now. Within that set, I'm probably up to like 140, which is pretty good aerobic zone, a little up at the top of the aerobic zone. So lifting weights is running, maybe a little bit. You can tell somebody that, see if you get away with it. So we're gonna go 12 right here, post it through the arm. Here, ripping the elbow back to the ribs, right here. So we're gonna go breathe, sweep, breathe. Notice too that I'm getting a full reach all the way down, big stretch on the muscle as I head down to the bottom of each rep, so I'm not shorting that range of motion as it gets higher. We'll go other side now for 12 as well. Now I have a little bit of an imbalance. I had surgery on my right shoulder when I was in college, so this side is stronger because I'm right side dominant, but this lat suffered a little bit in terms of its size. So even though it's equally as strong, maybe a little stronger than the left, it looks smaller, which is interesting. So I've tried to train it up, but there's still a little bit of a discrepancy between the two. So that's our set of 12. We're gonna up the weight on the flies, but let's keep it at 12 reps the whole time. Good, so again, focus on these. Big stretch and reach with the arms, big range of motion, and then turning those heads of the dumbbells in together for a big squeeze at the top. All right, still probably a little light, so we'll build to the next set as well. Now, even though we're keeping this workout about equal 50-50, pushing and pulling, most of us should bias towards pulling exercises because we do so much of our work in front of us, whether it's the phone, the computer, or driving, that we're usually a little overdeveloped in these forward pushing muscles and underdeveloped in the back. So about a 60-40 split of volume to pulling to pushing is good. And then of course making sure that you're as strong, if not stronger, in those pulling exercises as in the pressing. So you should probably be able to row with a dumbbell just as much as you can press, if not more. So to that point, I'm gonna go up my next set here. We're gonna go another set. We're gonna drop the reps to the 9, and then the last set we'll go for a really intense set. So we're going that 8 out of 10 here, and then we'll turn it up on the next set to hold to that higher intensity. So here we go, 9 on our third set here with the rows. Refresh. Once it starts to get heavy, you're probably going to want to take a little bit of a break between arms as well to let yourself recover so you can maintain the intensity in the next set on the other arm. So give myself like 20 seconds here, let the heart rate come down. That set got it all the way up to 148, which is like a pretty decent run. So I'm going to let that come down below there, and then I'll go into the next arm. Let myself recover a little bit. There's some good nasal breathing, should do the trick. Perfect, there we are, good to go. We're gonna hit that other arm. So same position, posted, tall through the chest, braced, knees are bent, take the force out of our lower back. We're gonna get that sweep. So let's move on. We got another set of flies. I'm gonna go up again to meet that sort of marriage of good range of motion, good focus, but high enough intensity from the weight challenge. Good. That's more the range of motion combined with the intensity that I was looking for. So just for the sake of fatigue, we'll probably stay at that same weight for the last set. Now as you're building through your sets, you want to make sure that you're maintaining at least that 8 out of 10. So the first set again might be a little bit of a warm-up, especially on that heavier compound exercise at the beginning. But after that, you want to start climbing until you hit really that peak intensity at the last set. So what I'm actually going to do, because I don't have any heavier dumbbells, I'm going to probably throw a few extra reps in here on each arm above sort of our goal, which should be like 9 reps right now, because I want to get that higher intensity on the last set to encourage that muscle growth or hypertrophy, or a little bit of strength adaptation as well. So this will be our last set of rows. So I'm probably going to take it within 1 or 2 reps of mechanical failure, so that breakdown in my form. So we're going to go a little bit harder here, probably take a little bit longer break between each arm just to fully recover. All right, pushing up, here we go. Last set, highest intensity on these rows. All right, that's all I left in the tank. So what I'll usually do for a set like that, I'll start on my weaker non-dominant side, so my left arm. I'll get to that intensity, I'll rest a little bit, and then I know I can match it on my more dominant, stronger side. So give myself 30 seconds here, let that heart rate come down. The weightlifter, what I call the bro cardio, to relax a little bit, and then we'll get back to the weightlifting here as we go through. Taking those deep recovery breaths in between sets. And then we're going to go for 12 on this arm as well. So 12 good reps right here. Here we go. Good. And then as predicted, because that's my dominant side, even though the lat's a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to get all 12 reps. So we got 1 more set of flies. We're going to get to our finisher, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of mobility at the end here. So I'm going to hit my last set of flies. Right here, we're going to get 12 good reps, big stretch, bringing the heads of the dumbbells together at the top. One extra for good luck there. Always on the last set, try to get that extra rep in a little bit. All right, so we've got 8 sets in for chest, 8 for back. So we're gonna do a little bit of finisher here. It could be for back, but we'll do a chest finisher just for fun. So we're gonna do what I call the world's slowest push-up. So I'm gonna try to lower myself as slowly as I can into the bottom of a push-up, and then drive myself out as slowly as I can. And then I'm gonna do finish to failure, and I'll do 2 of those, and then we'll do a little bit of mobility for the shoulder. So 4 push-ups here. I want to make sure that I'm getting a full range of motion. I'm getting all the way down to the ground, making sure we're keeping those elbows tight, and bringing my hips with me through that full range of motion, all the way down to the ground here. So down as slow as we can, pausing, and then up as slow as we can, and then we're going to go to failure, have a normal set, and rest a little bit. I'll tell you about the theory behind this and why I'm using this finisher here. So set up, fingers digging to the ground, rooted in the hands, feet back here. Here we go. Notice I'm bringing my hips with me, slowly leading with the shoulder, down slow. Good, and now we're just going to go to failure. And that's it right there. So the reason that I like these is we know that time under tension is one of the contributing factors to muscle hypertrophy. The other thing is a lot of times when people rush through reps, they're missing the activation of some of the stabilizers in the joint throughout that range of motion. So doing really slow, almost like borderline isometric, just holding that position is really going to train stability throughout the shoulder in that range of motion. So I'm going to rest about a minute. I'm going to give that one more go, and then we're going to do a little bit of stretching and mobility. It's pretty cool how much work you can get done in this style within a short amount of time. So if you look at the total volume of work, the weight lifted, and also the amount of exercise and sets, it's pretty impressive when you're very efficient with your time. So setting things up in supersets, pairing things into agonists or opposing muscle groups is helpful to get volume in within a short amount of time. So let's hit our last set of this push-up. Now if you're completely fatigued, you can hit this push-up from your knees. Just make sure that you're bringing your hips with you. Your core is tight, you're not worming out, you're not flaring your elbows, you're staying in good position. So let's get our last set of push-ups here. I may have to drop to the knees for the finisher here, depending on how fatigued I am. So here we go. So I guess 10 was my number today. So I got 10 push-ups there. That slowest push-up was a little bit faster, but at least there was some good quality tension and the range of motion was perfect. So about 2 sets of that, you should be good, pretty cooked. So we'll finish up with a stretch here. We're gonna do a little bit of just regular static stretching and then a little bit of pails and rails for shoulder external rotation, because those internal rotators right here, we just strengthened a lot of the packing stuff, so we want to balance that out a little bit. So if you got a doorway, you have a rig, we're going to go 90 degrees, stepping the same side foot forward and holding right here. Now I want to focus, each time that I exhale, I'm driving my chest forward a little further here. So here, pushing forward, so I'm gonna let my heart rate come down. I'm gonna go about 10 breath cycles here. So slow, deep breath, diaphragmatic breath in through the nose. Letting my chest come forward, but keeping my rib cage down, so I'm not leaning back here like that. Now, as I continue to stretch this, what I'm gonna start to do are pails and rails efforts. So I'm gonna push down hard into the rig or against the doorway right there for 5 to 10 seconds, and then keeping my elbow pinned, I'm gonna try to reach back while keeping my rib cage down. And what we're doing is, now that we've stretched and borrowed a range of motion, now we're gonna try to own and strengthen in that so we can increase range of motion in the shoulder joint long term. So here I go. I'm gonna push down hard, drive in, Good, and then reach back with the wrist. Really feel a stretch here. These are pretty uncomfortable. Way more effective long-term for range of motion increases than static stretching. Good, now I'm gonna push down hard. Pushing, pushing, pushing. And if you have a stick or something you can hold on to on this arm, that's gonna be helpful as well to just post up against and push against. Here, so now reach back again. Reaching back, reaching back. Excellent, good. And then push forward. Good, pails and rails right here. So again, if you have a stick or a bench, you can put out to the side here to set up. That'll give you a little bit more tension. You're squeezing abs tight, everything's tight, legs are locked. Reaching back again here. Good, so we want between 5 and 10 on each side. So I'll give you one more on this side and then we'll go to the other side right there. So it's not just important that we're putting tension on the muscle when we're exercising. We want to make sure that our joints are also healthy. We're training the stability and the range of motion in those joints, because joint health is really, if you don't use it, you lose it situation. So we want to make sure that as we're getting bigger muscles, as we're getting stronger, we're maintaining and even improving range of motion in the joints simultaneously, so that we can really own and be healthy in that range of motion. So I'll come to the other side here, to the right side, give you a little different view. So we're going to start arm at 90 here, elbow at 90, pushing the chest forward, rib cage down, using that breathing, so in, pushing the chest forward, chest comes forward, push forward like that right there. So we're just stretching out this big pec muscle right here that we were working on, contracting throughout the workout. So exhale, push forward, we're relaxing and letting our nervous system come down. My heart rate's down to 110, so it's starting to drop below working here, even though I'm talking so much. So here. So holding the static stretch, we use the breaths to count it, but it should be at least 1 minute to 2 minutes. Holding, overcoming that stretch reflex and opening up that shoulder. Now I have this other post here, so I can use this to reach against and hold on to create some tension. And here I go, I'm gonna go into my pails and rails. So I'm gonna brace hard, I'm gonna push my hand down in, push, push forward, 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 pushing, 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 driving down, driving in. Good, good, good. Now I'm gonna reach back, keeping the ribs down, so I'm not letting the rib cage flare up. Keeping the ribs down, only moving through the shoulder, reaching back. Hand might start to tingle a little bit, that's okay. Ready? Push down, push down. Good. Push hard, really try to push hard. I always say you're trying to push the rig off the wall or push the doorway down. Focus on that much intensity. Reach back now, the elbow staying attached to the posted position, and you're reaching back, rib cage stays down. Good, and you should notice each time you get a little more range of motion out of that shoulder. Really pushing down hard, keeping that core brace, rib cage is down. Reach back again, only moving through the shoulder, like that. Good, reach, retreat, push down, driving, driving, driving. Good, reaching back, that's it. Yep, and then push down again here. Push, push, push. Good, and I'll cut it there, but I would suggest doing at least one more round of that. Maybe 2 more rounds, 5 reps on each side, going into this pails and rails isometric effort. We don't want to just build bigger, stronger muscles. We want to build more resistant joints. So mobility is not an option. It is part of the workout always. We want to incorporate it at the end, just like we would finish with that set of push-ups at the end. We want to finish with that joint training at the end. So I know you guys are busy. I know that was a great workout for you. I know that the chest and back are feeling good. Now make sure we're recovering with nutrition. You're getting some quick protein and sugars in right now. You're rehydrating. You're getting back to the busy stuff you have to do. So hope you enjoyed this workout. Make sure to check out the other ones, especially if you're crunched on time. We're trying to get things in as quickly and efficiently and safely as possible, getting the most out of the least. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.